Welcome to tonight's one-to-one show. In tonight's show, we're going to be speaking to two of the finalists for the Agora Models Diorama Competition, Greg Lock and Christou. They are also going to be helping me with my spotlight on the wall. And I'm also going to be catching you up with what we've been doing behind the scenes with the Airwolf build. So sit back, relax, start the show. Okay, so today I'm joined with two finalists for the Agora Diorama Competition. I've got Greg Lock and Christou here. Now, Chris was the winner last year, so I think it's brilliant to have you in here and to tell us all about your journey with that model in particular.
Thanks
It's
for having
massive. What happened?
Well, the whole idea started just from imagination. That was all it was. When I first sent and thought of an idea to put in for the competition, I came up with quite a few ideas, but I was fascinated with the Optimus Prime because I was amazed at the size.
Was that
of it
the model
firstly.
that you already had in your mind that you wanted to do already?
That was the one that I had in mind because it was the biggest one, and I'd already built the Terminator before.
Right, wow.
So I was like, you know what, I want to try something different. You know, so I'm going to go for the Optimus Prime. So basically, I just sat down and thought, how can I make this diorama? Because of the size of it, obviously you're restricted with the 1 meter by 1 meter.
Yeah.
And I thought I can't have him standing up really because what am I going to put around him? So I just thought what would be a really amazing scene to have him. I thought, why not do something completely different? Have him completely battle torn, weathered, you know, in a forest somewhere. Something. The idea sort of came to me as I was going along. Really, you know, I had an idea in my head that I wanted Optimus to be like abandoned somewhere and for people to discover him. That was my first initial idea. Is how am I gonna? I want it to look like he's been abandoned and a couple of people discovered this massive robot.
So did you have to go through the stage of you built Optimus first and then the diorama around it? Or
Yeah, that was the big thing because obviously it was so fun building it. And when I did finish it, when I look at the size and the weight of it, it was a bit like, oh.
You didn't think how you're getting that to Telford, did you?
Yeah, you know, I didn't think of that. And when and the problem I had as well is even when I sat him down, initially I was going to have him sat down against a tree originally, but because of the size, it was only 1 meter by 1 meter allowed for the competition. I was like, I'm going to have a backdrop here, push him against, and then I'd have a little bit of space to play with wherever he's sitting down. So, but the problem I had was the weight. Of the actual
it looks heavy.
It was so heavy, I had to have solid foundations because I was like, this can't be weak wood.
Well, talking about scratch building your base, Greg.
Hi mate, yeah.
You have got this beast here, which I first saw. I know I was at Telford. I missed it. I'll be honest with you. I think I probably saw it, but then I did see it at the Space Class Model Show. I called this like the Lotus Hover conversion, but this is all scratch built.
Yeah,
tell me about this.
Full scratch built. So I've dubbed this for Lotus Ascend, following on the tradition where Lotus names all their vehicles with the letter E. So the idea by it, complete scratch built. The design's pretty much evolved from my brain. The backstory behind it is it's supposed to be in an alternate 1960s. I love history, I love science fiction as well, and I love thinking about these alternate timelines. So the thinking was, after the Second World War, you had Operation Paperclip, where lots of the German scientists and engineers went over to America to help with the space program, things like that. I was thinking, well, what if that never happened? So you had Hans von Ohain, who was one of those engineers. He was the German designer of a jet engine. And what if instead of going to America, he was free to do whatever he wanted? He went over to the UK, met up with Frank Whittle, who was, of course, the British jet engine designer. The two of them hit it off, became massive buddies, created their own jet propulsion company, which then inspired all these other people to come and join them. And essentially, the jet age becomes the new norm. We've done away with internal combustion engines that we see in cars. The jet engine has taken over. Wow. What would that look like? And I thought, I've always been a fan of Lotuses. I was fortunate enough to own a Lotus Elise at one point in my life. And I was kind of thinking, this is the type of thing Colin Chapman of Lotus would have loved. He would have wanted to incorporate this into a vehicle.
So when did you actually build this?
So this was built, so I said it was at Telford last year. I was fortunate enough to win Best in Show for Science Fiction with it, which I'm still flabbergasted by. It took about 18 months on and off, and I pretty much had it finished probably about 3 weeks before Telford.
Wow.
So I was getting close to the wire on it, but it was probably about 3 weeks before Telford I had it finished.
God. And then both of you are winners then, because obviously
Yeah,
you've won the award.
congratulations.
That's pretty cool.
That was great, yeah.
So are we confident for the diorama competition this year?
No.
No?
That's what I'm going to say.
So just remind me, what are you building, Chris?
I'm doing the La Ferrari. That was
Right.
my idea this year.
Okay, and then your idea is to have some sort of like a diorama scene of a landscape forest.
Yeah, the initial
we
idea
saw
was I
this.
want it to look sort of, you know, the Ferrari sort of coming towards you, and like a beautiful backdrop at the back, you know, with a winding road, and I want to incorporate like the street lights coming from the backdrop onto the actual road, so it looks, when you look at the diorama, it looks almost, it gives that effect that it's come off the backdrop and it's driving through, you see, with a little bit of wildlife and, you know, barriers and stuff on the side, because I don't want it to be all road. I'm going to have probably about 15 centimeters on each side for the trees, shrubbery and stuff like that as well.
Well, we've got 5 months, I believe, for the competition, but I think it has to be done by October. Is that right?
End of October,
So,
isn't
so
it?
how far are you with it now?
I've just built the car. That's it. Yeah. That's it. That's
wow.
it. But no, I'm getting in the process of getting the wood made.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm trying to get as much done as I can before July sort of hits, middle of July, because I won't be able to touch it until September then.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to get
that.
ahead of the game. I don't know
What are you doing, Greg?
Yeah.
So I'm doing the Porsche 917 KH, and it's essentially, I'm using the Le Mans as the main inspiration for
That's
it.
the film,
The
yeah,
film Le
yeah.
Mans. Steve McQueen is a massive part of that. So it's essentially is recreating that photograph of Steve McQueen reading the paper in the car.
Wow.
And the film itself, I personally think it's all right. The film, some of the cinematography is
I think
good.
the film is one of these films that needs a rewatch.
It's yeah,
It does.
and
Because there's a lot of things you don't realise what's going on.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those films where it's an example of a film where the story about making the film is potentially more interesting than the film itself.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what I wanted my diorama to focus on, is the actual drama behind the film. It was a massive passion project for Steve McQueen. It cost him a lot. He gave up his salary to actually complete the film. It was a massive undertaking. There was a lot of drama behind it, so I'm hoping to encapsulate a lot of that with recreating this photograph of Steve McQueen reading the paper.
And how far have you got so far?
I think we're both at the same point. I finished the car at midnight the other night. I have the figure done, not painted yet, and I have a big hunk of plywood ready for my base.
Yeah, that's the best way to go. Yeah, you need that for the weight.
And that's pretty much where I'm at.
So what was it like actually just getting notification that you're now finalists again this year, especially for you, Chris?
I was amazed. Honestly, I was even the first time it happened last year. I was completely shocked that I got picked. I thought like there's going to be hundreds, maybe thousands of people entering. I'll give it a punt. I think it's a good idea.
Because I think originally it was only 3 that were going to be picked, and then it got extended to 6.
Yeah,
so
it
it's
got
like,
extended
that's
to
going to be
6.
amazing.
So it shows the quality of the ideas that
What
come
about
in.
you,
but-
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it was a. I guess I was shocked. Of course, I was shocked. I remember it very well. I was actually trying to get my little toddler to settle down. She's my emotions were like, go to sleep. And then I'm just literally just looking through my emails and phone. Then I saw it. Like, oh wow, okay. Yeah, keep making up noise. That's fine. I'm happy now. I've got this. So yeah, I was shocked because, like you say, the actual competition itself, what people are putting in, the ideas that people must have been. Because at the end of the day, as well, for me personally, Agora kind of used Steve McQueen a lot with the pub. I cannot be the only person to have thought, oh, Steve McQueen in the Porsche 917.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the only
That's
one who
gonna
thought
look
of
pretty
that. So yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And then with your first build and obviously your builds that you're doing now, what problems or have you encountered so far, or things that you can anticipate being a problem? Because some of these things that you've planned, I think it's like, oh, okay, because you've already told me that you've had to extend the door.
The door, yeah. So you got the photograph there of it. That door is quite the angle that it's actually opened at.
Yeah.
And the model itself, the door's only open until about 45 degrees. I didn't realise that until I actually got the kit, and because I just assumed, oh, yeah, of course, it'll
be fine.
It'll be fine. But of course, yeah, you can have it at 45 degrees, but he won't fit in there. And a big part of my pitch is recreating this photograph. So yeah, I found myself having to engineer, bash it a little bit to get that to open further. My first idea didn't work, and I was a bit like, oh no, what have I done? I've already drilled into this massively expensive die-cast body? What have I done?
Exactly.
You do,
I've
you
had
get to that
similar
point of no
issues, trust
return,
me.
and it's
I've
like
had
you can't go
similar
I was
back.
issues.
literally, and I remember there when I had the first idea in my head on how to achieve it, and I had like the drill bit in my pin voice, and I was literally like, "This is it, no point in no return," and then it didn't work. And I'm like, well, and the way I have now done it, I would have been better if I didn't do what I had done to the body,
Yeah.
but I've been able to make it work, and that I see as the first hurdle. What I'm now going to encounter is I'm in the unknown. I
You're in
guess.
the unknown.
For me, it was the tyre. I had a problem with one of the tyres on the Ferrari.
Yeah.
One of the last thing you put on. I had a few other issues here and there that I managed to sort of just muddle by and get done. Like I had a problem with the rear boot, the hinges that go on. One of them snapped.
Oh,
It's a bit of a like, right towards the end. But the biggest problem I had was one of the wheels on the inside where the hubcap is. There's a little bit of plastic that goes in with pins, and then you put the brake disc on like
that's
that.
right. Yeah.
That's popped back through.
Oh, all right.
So I couldn't attach the wheel. The wheel wouldn't go to the car. So I had to get underneath with tweezers, glue it in, hold it there for ages, and then very carefully push the brake disc on, eventually the wheel, and just hope to God that that doesn't pop back out.
This is the fun of the challenge. This is definitely the fun of the challenge.
It was,
Now, with your dioramas, obviously you're bringing more materials in than just the car and stuff like that as well. Is that turning out to be an expensive thing, or is that stuff you've already got lying around the workshop? Or
For me,
as a matter of fact, have you both got workshops thinking about it?
yes, you could call it. I do have a shed which I like to call a workshop because it's more than a shed. It's insulated and has electricity. It's not a shed. But yeah,
Oh, no, I haven't got a workshop. I've got a conservatory on the back of my house with a table. That's it, and I've got all my bits on there. So I have all my my paints, the brushes, all my screwdrivers, all that kind of stuff. It's not like a workshop in general because I've got like a separate in my loft in my house. It's been kitted out. And I've got a massive bit of wood where I've got all my models on display. But you can't work up there. It's just for the display.
Well, we were talking just before the interview started today about having space and stuff, and especially for your finished models.
It's hard. It's hard. I can't even fit.
Do you have stashes of models you haven't built yet? Or?
Oh, doesn't everyone?
Yeah.
I try and limit it.
I have cupboards. I purposely built cupboards in my workshop, kitchen cupboards, which have stacks of kits in, and then you've got the loft. Then you've got the loft.
Oh my God!
I'm of the opinion that building models and collecting model kits are two separate hobbies, and I happen to do both.
You should explain that to my wife.
And she, much to my wife's dismay. But yeah, I've got the attic, the shed, and I now have access to my mother-in-law's garage, which is
All of these models that we've been looking at, especially from last year's Telford, they're all big models. Did you start with small models, traditional way of doing it with the Airfix kits, and then work up to these big models?
That's what it was for me.
Yes, I was different from you because I first got into it's different was the Warhammer, like Mortal Realms.
there you go. Yeah.
That's when I started, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try these. I've always wanted to do it from young. Why not give it a go? I got into that quite detailed. I really enjoyed it, and then for me, the first kit I got was the Terminator from Agora.
Yeah.
And that was my.
And that's a big kit as well. That's
and
cool.
it was amazing. That was what sparked my love of the hobby. You know, waiting for those packs to come every month. You know, and then start building, and you know, you got the instructions there in front of you. You're doing bit by bit, and for me, it was the joy of seeing that final pack, and you've put it all together, trying out the electrics and hearing the sounds.
And talking about the final pack and putting things together, how's it going to feel for you when you've actually done this and it's ready for Telford? Do you reckon it will encapsulate your vision?
I hope so. I mean, I hope so. I've still got that clear vision in mind, and now I know that door issue's been fixed, and I can actually have the pose I wanted. That's my main hurdle. So I'm confident I can still get that vision, but I will feel because I'm still a little bit uncertain how certain bits are going to turn out. A big part of what I'm going to be doing is going to be using static grass. I've never touched static grass.
Okay, I can give you some advice on static grass. Okay, if you're using one of the static grass things, do not touch any part of it because the amount of times I shocked myself with that thing is ridiculous.
So that's. I'm curious. I'm confident. I've been watching YouTube videos non-stop on it, but that's going to be interesting to see how that comes out. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same for me as well. Like I've sort of got an idea in my head of how it's going to be, but you know, when you start putting it together and you start getting grass and mud and all these different things, and it is difficult. You do come across different hurdles and stuff like that. You're waiting for parts to come. You might not like how it looks once you put it on there. Sometimes you're your vision changes depending on how the model sits, for instance. You know, the model might not be sitting in the right, you might think, oh, I don't like the position there, or it's, you know, it does take a lot of back and forth, I'd say. You know, you do change your mind a lot from last year, from experience, even with the Optimus Prime. You know, I had to really think about how am I going to create that vision of a scene. That's generally what it is, so people can see and have a look and create a story just from looking at the diorama from all different angles. Wow. And that's the problem I had when I first started. I was like, where am I going to cut bits of grass out and put mud, and where's it going to look like? Where am I going to put the trees? And you know, you have to experiment. It does take time.
But I've already found myself in the back garden, because that was the only space I had big enough for it. But I put my back piece of plywood down, plonked the two halves of the body shell on, drew around with a marker to get an idea of the shape.
That's the best way.
And then I'm literally there sketching out. Okay, grass bank there, track will come up to here.
Wow.
And I've already had to change some dimensions just from when I looked at it. Like, it's going to be way too impractical or way too.
It is, yeah. It's it's what Greg's saying as well. Like, because when you work on smaller kits, and then now you're working on a big scale diorama, it's a completely different kettle of fish, isn't it? You know,
but even I think because what you were saying about having to change as well. Looking at that, I had a clear vision in my head on how that would look, but so much of it started to change just because of what I couldn't achieve or what was easier. So that very much evolved during those 18 months when I realised I can't quite do that, but I could do this instead. And I can see there may be a bit of that happening with this diorama, and of just that adaptability and just thinking on your feet, improvising as you encounter these problems.
It's okay to make mistakes as well. You know, sometimes you might mess up part of it. You know, I had the same thing with Optimus Prime. I was like, how am I the biggest hurdle I had with him last year was I wasn't just doing the diorama, but I was doing a lot to Optimus Prime. You know, I had to strip off some of the paint. I had to, you know, make it look like he was rusty on all his metal bits. I had to create holes. It was, you know, put shrubbery and moss all inside him. So
do you have a classic artist problem then, where you get to the point where it's like, I stop now, because you could keep going?
Yeah, I mean, my wife, who said to me, just stop looking at it, because the more you look at it, the more you look at it,
the more you're going to want to do. And you'll never finish it.
No, I completely appreciate that. I completely am one of those. That's a problem I encounter, where it's just like, just stop looking at it. Even when you try the thing of like, I'll go away for an hour, I'll go watch a TV program or something, come back to it. No, look, I don't know.
It's still on my mind.
Just stop.
It's still on my mind.
Stop.
That's the thing. You overanalyze it. When you're
Yeah.
working on something with such a long period, and like I said, even with the beautiful thing there, you know, it's you probably looked at it and thought, wow, this is going to take so long, and you overanalyze everything. You might be like, oh, that sticker's in the wrong position.
Yeah. How did you notice that?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. And even to the point where, even if you're doing something like graphic design, and you're looking at, you create a logo, and you're looking at, and it gets to the point where, have I even spelt that word correctly? Doesn't look right.
You do overanalyze,
but you're just like, this is, you just need to.
Oh God. Well, you know what?
You had that with the Lotus as well, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. You know, so just stop, move on.
I can't wait, because I'm going to be at Telford to see the models. And the good thing about these models is normally they're the biggest thing in that competition group.
Yeah, they are.
On the back.
Right at the back.
If there's 6 models in there, all with different themes, it's going to be pretty impressive.
Yeah,
but,
I think it's going to be.
Thank you for both coming and sharing your experiences with me, but I'm not going to let you off the hook straight away, because we do have a feature on the show, if you haven't seen any of our episodes, called In the Spotlight, which is what we're going to be doing now. Okay, in this segment I call In the Spotlight, because we're going to be putting some items in the spotlight to appear on my coveted wall here. And as you see, I've got the Enterprise D, I've got Batmobile, I've got the shark from Jaws, and I've got the Ghostbusters up here. So this is the 5th episode. So we're going to have some items on the screen that we're going to debate, and some fiery debate about what deserves to be on the wall. Now, only one is allowed on the wall, okay? The others, they don't get binned, and it doesn't mean they're bad, it's just not good enough to go on the wall. Okay. I've got no idea what the theme is, so we're going to find out together, okay? So, these are characters we want to be, I think, isn't it? Or something like that. So, I mean, I don't need to see the rest. We got Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi, obviously green lightsaber. We got Iron Man, on the Marvel, okay. And we've got Superman. Okay. See.
I mean, if I had Tony Stark's money, great.
But he wasn't super. He's only super because of his money and his suit.
Batman of Marvel universe.
I mean,
Skywalker, Luke, it has to be a Jedi.
well, I mean, he's got the Force, but then the film made him turn a little bit of a. My wife said arrogant.
He was very much when he goes to confront Jabba. He's very
Yeah.
much like, I will. And he thinks he can Jedi mind trick on Jabba, and it's not working. But he's still that. Yeah, he is arrogant, but he is Luke Skywalker.
Okay.
He's no Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No. I don't think he ever will be. And then obviously Superman.
Superman's a big one.
He is, but he's super.
Super. And he's a bit too. He's very clean cut, isn't he? He's all about.
The thing is, he might be too powerful. I think that's the problem with this DC character. I think Marvel put up a thing about how can Superman fly? There's no propulsion. All the other superheroes, like Thor, has to swing a hammer to get the propulsion to go. Superman just goes, so it doesn't make sense.
That's a hard one. That is difficult.
But I still like him, and with Supergirl coming out as well, I like the color scheme. It's easy on my eyes. But
so we've got to agree on this.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, it's a toss up between Superman and Luke.
Same.
As well.
I think so. Yeah, it's between them two.
I think for me, it's Luke Skywalker. I mean, all the way.
I mean, we've got, like you said, we've got Jaws, Batmobile, Ghostbusters, and is that the Enterprise?
Yeah, this is the Batmobile and the Enterprise D. Yeah. I mean, to fit in with the theme of it, you know what I'm going to say? It's all 80s.
It's all 80s.
Yeah.
Also, as well, you've kind of got some love for Spielberg. You've got some love for Tim Burton.
We haven't got no love for
George
Lucas at the moment, have we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. You've just convinced me. I think Luke is going on the wall, yeah?
100%.
Otherwise, you would be outvoted anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
And the green lightsaber that's actually my...
It's my favourite lightsaber.
This is a bit of trivia for you. I'm pretty sure that was the first lightsaber that was actually designed because the other ones they built from what they could find lying around.
That's right, yeah, it was.
This was the first time they actually customly built and designed a lightsaber.
Still my favourite.
But it's my favourite.
I'm going to say Iron Man. How long have we got?
We can debate it. Anyway, guys, listen, thank you so much for coming and being with us today. I really do hope you like the studio experience.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's been great having you here.
It's been lovely. Thank you.
So now's time to give you an update of Airwolf, and I'm going to be joined by Todd McWilliams and Ian Schwartz, the team now that we are looking into doing all the research and tell you where we're up to in this brilliant build. The reason we're all together is because I wanted to talk about where we're up to with Airwolf at the moment and how things have developed since we last all got together to talk. Okay. Now, I think since we last spoke, we were in a meeting with the factory and we were talking about what our likes and wants are for things like what the size of it we'd like to see, what sort of base we'd like to see, all of that sort of thing. But quite a lot's gone on since then. So we've got things like the size now, which I think is now down at 1/16 scale. So, Todd, what does that mean size-wise? Because I haven't got a clue.
Up. 16 scale. Well, you're going to ask me this question. It's big.
Yeah, I bet
it's going to be over a meter long.
Yeah.
It's going to be over a meter long with the rotor. You know,
with the rotor, yeah.
If you go from rotor tip to tail, it's going to be over a meter long. 16th is well, I should say 35.7 inches. So that's 90 centimeters. No, it's just under a meter.
That would be great for the Americans. I can't think what the metric system is.
No, it's 90, just over 90 centimeters or 30, just under 36 inches. So just under a yard long.
Okay, so it's going to be a big beast.
Yeah. But you know what? Going to the 1/16th also means that because we originally were aiming kind of for 1/18th, but 1/16th gives us more room for interior, right?
Yeah.
So that gives us better details.
And I think it will give us more details into the area at the back because we've had this thing with the cockpit as well. Where do you remember what the thing was that whether it's going to be season 1 or 2, but we can't get any images of a season 1 cockpit, which is just generic.
You had the season 1, season 2 EDCC in the back, and then you had the season 2, season 3 cockpit, right? Change. But you don't really see the season 3 cockpit very often at all. It's more, there's like one picture from Kenneth Larson out there, or a couple from Kenneth Larson who I've tried to reach out to and I can't get it back.
Well, we can't get anything for the engine. I think I've spoke to you about that. It's all under Honeywell sort of classification. I've seen a picture of like an external shot from far away, but for the detail. So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen there. But Ian, you were in touch with the folks over in Compton, weren't you? What
Yeah,
happened
and
there?
that guy kind of flaked out on me. I emailed him,
Uh-huh.
and I copied James. I emailed him, and he never replied. And I've tried calling him again. I keep getting voicemails. I'm not getting replies. So he has kind of a reputation for not replying to people. It's a very small operation.
But that
Um,
but that one in Compton, that didn't look very good condition. Am I right in
no, it
saying
was
that?
terrible. It was stored outside its whole life. Um, but the shape was right. It was made from factory molds, from
Ah,
like
right,
those
okay.
production studio molds. So it's
Uh,
got the right shape to it because it's from the original molds. So
I've got to be. I'm trying to think the best way to say this. What we have got we got the blueprints for Airwolf. Obviously, what you've got on the My Airwolf site, but we've also got like an external consultant in as well, haven't we?
yes, we did. A guy contacted me who
Uh-huh.
is working on Airwolf for another company as well. He's a freelancer,
Mhm.
and he offered up his services to Agora. So I got him in contact with James, and James got him in contact with the factory.
Wow.
And what it sounds like from James is that they've worked out a deal.
Uh-huh.
Um, because he had some very good 3D renderings that
Wow.
he's done already for Airwolf. So that's looking very promising. That's
Cool.
hopefully going to give
And
us a
then the other
good boost.
conversation that we had when we were talking to the factory was what sort of base that we want to put it on. Now we haven't
Well,
mentioned what we were looking for
yeah.
to the community. So what were we looking for?
Well, Todd wants all the electronics completely internal, so we don't have to have anything in the base powering it.
Right. Yeah.
Just USB-C straight into the helicopter. And the base, it was going to be what Todd, something where it would you could either just sit it down on its landing gear, or
Hmm.
if you put it on the base, it could be maybe tilted slightly forward, and there could be maybe a deluxe base that's a full color Airwolf logo for the base.
And that would
Yeah,
probably
I
be
was.
more achievable with something 116 scale, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I just pictured the patch on the top of the base, right? So you
Uh-huh.
have the Airwolf, patch, and across the front it has the Airwolf logo, and then coming up out of the center is an acrylic, type clear cradle that holds the helicopter either in a hovering position or a tilting forward like it's moving position. And then the helicopter itself is powered directly, like it has the USB port in it or something. And maybe when it's on the stand, you can hide that inside the stand, the upright or something. But it's not dependent on the stand, right? Because you can set it needs to be able to be displayed on its wheels, right? With no stand at all, it can sit there on its wheels on your shelf for years, and that's what it's meant for. Um, but yeah, the you're right about the engine. The light combing engine is there. There is a picture out there with Hawk, with Stringfellow like standing next to it with the door open and everything. That's just a stock engine. Uh, the actual, turbine engine that ran the helicopter itself was never modified or never shown in the film. Uh, it's we have pictures. I mean, I have tons and tons and tons of pictures of Airwolf. I have pictures from John Cogan at Jetcopters when they had it at the shop. I have pictures from there's pictures that Mark Carnes put out, who has some of the original parts, I think, out in Florida that ended up with, and we have tons of reference material. But there's some things you're limited on, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you mentioned, the interior of that cockpit is a tough one.
Well,
The
the
it
other
was
thing
well
that we
done.
were talking about today actually was about the color scheme as well, because we spoke to Andrew Probert and he confirmed about the color being the green. But
Yep.
if we make a greenish Airwolf, I think people are going to be up in arms thinking, well, it's meant to be black and white. And even though, we know realistically it's meant to be green, how can we keep both sides of the coin happy?
Well,
You make it a
yeah,
very dark green, and then people learn. I mean, they'll learn. They'll say, "This isn't right," and you go, "Yeah, it is."
Yeah.
And they maybe
yeah.
don't realize, but I think it's more important to get it accurate to how it was you know, it kind of reminds me of the Enterprise. The what you see studio accurate versus screen accurate, right? This is what it actually was, and then when they filmed it, it looked a different way. I think it's
What do you reckon, Ian? Do you reckon we're going to get grief for
I
that?
reckon. I mean, my opinion was more for screen accuracy, like how it looked on the TV when everyone was watching it.
Yeah.
So it looked more like a really, really dark anthracite gray with a the slightest tinge of green. It was almost a chameleon paint.
It's lost
You know what
on
I
me
mean?
because I'm colorblind, but I'm taking your advice on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it basically looked like an extremely dark metallic gray, almost black on screen. That was basically it. And then the white on the bottom was a pearl, like a pearlish white. It wasn't a pure white. It was a pearlescent, like insignia white, almost like just ever so slightly not white with a pearliness to it. So, I think as long as we go with a pearlescent white for the bottom,
Yeah.
and the top, I feel everyone would be more comfortable with a screen accurate color versus a prop accurate real life helicopter, because no one's ever seen it in real life. Mostly,
No.
they've seen it in photographs and they've seen it on TV, and it always looked kind of grayish black metallic.
But I'm wondering if that's the next question to put up on your My Airwolf site, Todd.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think that'd be a good one.
I think I would love to have a little mix of both, right? From a distance, maybe it's this really super dark gray, like a lot of people think it's phantom gray metallic. This super dark, chalky black, but it has a tint of green to it, right? There's that little tint of green to it. It's not quite just pure black, right? It's not monochrome. It does have that green in it, but
So I guess
Yeah.
the next stage we're at now is to waiting for the factory to come back to us to say this is what we've got now. This is where we're up to at
Yeah.
the moment.
yeah, we need
Yeah.
to see, like, I guess, a CAD.
Yeah.
See
well,
an
we
initial
went. I
CAD.
mean, we went for everything, right? So we can. They were going to come back to us and let us know what they could and couldn't do. Could about the landing gear, about the interiors, about doors, about all the different pieces and features that we asked for: electronics, speakers, sound, audio, motors,
Yeah.
and come back and say what can actually be done.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because what I wanted to do is just get us all three of us together, because just to let the community know that we haven't forgotten about the build. It's definitely happening next year, but this is where we're up to as of
Yeah.
the end of June. But
Yeah, very exciting.
I
Very
really
exciting.
It is very
appreciate
exciting.
you guys. I know it's really early for you, Todd, and it's like, I don't know, early afternoon or something for you, Ian.
No, it's 11 a.m. It's fine.
Oh, there you go. That's too late.
Yeah, this is about when I'm actually fully awake.
I'm still asleep.
Yeah,
Oh.
from 8:30 to about 10:30, I'm barely functional.
Okay.
And we had a lot of emergencies today, a lot of fires to put out at work. And I
Well,
just said,
appreciate
guys,
you
I have an
taking
11
the
a.m.
time anyway,
meeting.
guys. Definitely.
Yeah, no
Thank-
worries.
Thank you for taking time. And sadly, that's the end of another one-to-one show. Now, next week, I have got Randy Cooper, who I actually bumped into at Wonderfest in Kentucky. He's a prop maker in the movie industry, so you're going to absolutely love that. But check that out next week. Hope you like that video. Take care.